This book focuses on UFO incidents near military bases that house nuclear weapons, most of which are located in the United States. The primary sources of information are U.S. military documents that have been declassified under the Freedom of Information Act, witness statements from soldiers and specialists who served at these military bases, and, where available, radar recordings or other evidence. The witness accounts generally follow a similar pattern. UFOs appeared over a military base and deactivated the nuclear missile's launch readiness. Some of the individual cases are described in great detail. However, no one can say how the UFOs managed to bypass the security systems designed to prevent unauthorized access to the control systems. There were even isolated cases in which the UFOs briefly activated the launch procedure, and for several seconds it looked as if the nuclear missiles were about to take off. This happened not only in the United States, but also in the former Soviet Union. And in at least one case, a UFO shot down an American test missile over the Pacific Ocean. However, UFO sightings are not only documented at military bases. They date back to 1945, during the first nuclear tests in New Mexico. Even then, unidentified flying objects were monitoring the tests and other related activities, as numerous documents and eyewitness accounts prove. In doing so, the aliens often paid little attention to discretion, as if they even wanted to draw attention to their presence. On the human side, however, secrecy was usually enforced, likely in part because it was embarrassing that unidentified flying objects could simply penetrate restricted security zones. At first, there was also some uncertainty as to whether these objects came from outside Earth or possibly from the Soviet Union. In any case, sightings were the norm rather than the exception, whether in New Mexico, over the test sites in Nevada, or in the Pacific Ocean. The declassified documents also clearly reveal the efforts of government agencies to keep the incident secret, although the motives behind this remains unclear. Attributing everything solely to a military adversary falls short, because the flight maneuvers often made it clear that the craft could not have been originated from the Soviet Union. Incidentally, the situation there was similar to that in the United States. In the Soviet Union, too, there were plenty of UFO sightings related to nuclear weapons, and there, as well, the authorities wanted to keep everything as secret as possible. The book also mentions several well-known UFO incidents, such as the one in Roswell or in Rendlesham Forest in the United Kingdom. Nuclear weapons played a role in those incidents as well, a fact that, strangely enough, is not widely known. The role of certain United States government agencies in covering up UFO incidents, as well as that of scientists and UFO skeptics, is addressed in separate chapters and sections. The author's frustration with these cover-ups is clearly evident, and some attempts to explain the unusual flight maneuvers of unidentified objects by declaring them to be natural celestial bodies do indeed seem rather pathetic. Otherwise, the book, with its 598 pages, is written in a fluid style and is an easy read. However, the question of why remains. The author concludes that this could be a kind of warning, intended to deter humanity from using nuclear weapons. It also seems they wanted to demonstrate their technical superiority and show that they could easily trigger and then halt the launch of nuclear missiles. Apparently, this is a fairly clear message to those in charge. Robert L. Hastings, UFOs and Nukes. Extraordinary Encounters at Nuclear Weapon Sites. No place of publication, 2017. CreateSpace independent publishing platform.